Hey everybody, welcome to the last IT podcast in the world. I'm David Wheat with Alt CIO Consulting. He's Derek Johnson from Austin, Texas. Hello, Derek.
Hey.
Good to see you again. Happy New Year.
Yeah, Happy New Year.
Unless we're past the date, you can't say that anymore. We probably are.
I don't know. You got a month, I feel like, don't you?
All right, fine. I mean, my Christmas tree is gone, but my Christmas lights outside are still aglow and festive.
Okay.
I'm wearing, by the way, for those that are on audio only, I'm wearing the hat, the golden Oreo hat, because exciting announcement, Derek. We're going to have the CEO of Oreos make an appearance on our show today. Super pumped about it.
Big get.
That's big awesome. Get. One of my biggest gets, really, the CEO of Oreos. You can't believe it. So tell me about your hat again. I can't remember.
Round Rock Express. This is our local minor league baseball team.
So it's kind of the front of a train barreling at you with the cow catcher.
With the letter E. Yep.
Kind of the menacing cow catcher.
Yeah.
What's the E for again?
Express.
Express. The Round Rock Express.
Named after Nolan Ryan.
Of course.
Who lives
it was called
just up the road.
Von Ryan's Express. No.
Yeah.
What was his? Yeah.
Yeah.
After the World War II. Terrific. All right. So, hey, Derek, you probably get as much fan mail, unsolicited DMs, texting as I do as a celebrity podcast co-host.
Yeah, it's a lot to wade through.
So it is. So I thought we'd pull back the curtain because people ask us these questions all the time. Like, what's it like, David and Derek, to be on one of the premier niche elite podcasts in America? And, frankly, I don't think people understand a lot of the grind, a lot of the hard work that we put into this thing.
Yeah. Yeah. Lots of prep, lots of, like I said, lots of fan mail to wade through.
Lots of getting our cameras and microphones to work correctly.
Yep.
I mean, yeah, wow, yeah. What a burden. And of course, paparazzi. I don't think people think about the fact that everywhere we go, our moves are documented by people with cameras.
Yeah. Just want to go to HEB, but can't.
And I know you've got young kids. That's a big concern for you. So,
sure.
I know that. Yeah. And speaking of HEB, by the way, stands for Harold E. Butts. Howard E. Butts.
Yeah. Yeah.
Something Butts.
Big marketing lesson there. We do a lot better as HEB than as Butts grocery store.
Yeah.
So.
And we will stoop to junior high boy jokes on this podcast. Absolutely. Yeah. So anyway, when you go to HEB, I know you got to put on the big, thick, heavy sunglasses.
Yeah.
Yeah. You ever like bump into things because they're so dark? Because you don't want people to
just.
And you just want to say, people, I'm just shopping. Please give me my privacy. Same. And then finally, probably what people see is like on Sunday night this past weekend, you and I were literally on a text thread swapping different pictures of kitchen sinks, alluding back to one of our most watched episodes, the kitchen sink episode.
Right.
Yeah.
Everything but the kitchen sink. We actually got everything because we had that included.
I know you got that text and said, you leaned to your personal image consultant and said, he just won't let this go. It's like the Oreos. He's just going to keep bringing it back up.
We got to hang on.
Yeah. I tell your personal image consultant that I said hello. And
will do.
Speaking of let's get to the Oreos CEO. I'm going to invite him in. He's going to give us a little bit of a speech. He recently talked to his product development team. Kind of a motivational talk, and he was kind enough to share that with me. So we don't have him live, but we've got this kind of product development, innovation, sort of motivational talk that he gave. I'm going to share that. We can sort of like watch that together in real time. Okay. Okay. So without further ado, introducing the CEO of Oreos with his prod dev strategy discussion.
Made the perfect cookie 100 years ago. And now there's no work left to do. I'm telling you, we did it. We won. Go home, be with your families, raise your children. Stop making new Oreos. Do you see that there is nowhere else to go? And Alexander wept, for there were no more worlds to conquer. We done did the good cookie that everybody liked, and now we get to go home.
It says Oreo now with Wi-Fi on the picture behind him.
Yeah.
You have poison in your mind, and the fact that you can't see it makes me so sad.
We work really hard.
Don't.
Cinnamon bun Oreos, cinnamon latte Oreos.
You are a babbling fool, and we have built a temple to madness. I get it. You're losing.
So I think we'd agree with the essence of his strategy, right? Maybe
Just take the win, man. You've got a great
maybe dial
product.
back the varieties by, I don't know, 99.9%.
Yeah.
Now, he did say one thing wrong. They invented the perfect cookie 100 years ago. Whenever they came out with the golden Oreo,
that was the perfect.
that should have been
one.
in a product development. No more innovation.
Yeah.
We've got two. We've got, because, so, but yeah. So anyway, inspirational talk from the CEO of Oreos. I'd like to thank him for being kind enough to share that behind the scene stuff.
Yeah.
Any other thoughts on the Oreo aisle before I talk about a related story?
Have you seen the proliferation of Oreo hacks now of like the plastic fork in the filling of the Oreo to dunk it without getting your fingers wet?
No. So I guess at the 100-year mark of the perfect cookie, now we're only getting to the
now we
hacks.
can start. If we have that one and we have in the Oreo cookie tray, there's 3 slots, right? 2 for cookies, and in the middle slot you can pour milk, and that's your dunking tray.
Okay, now that's all right. Okay, yeah. Or how about you just break them up into a bowl and pour milk over them and call them cereal?
Sure.
By the way, before we move on to the break, this reminds me, I once worked at a fantastic yogurt company, one of the best jobs in my career, great leadership, loved the stop at there in my career. So they had run out of it was fruit in the cup of yogurt, and they'd kind of run out of fruits. They'd tried all the fruits, and they had done like 4 citruses and running out of everything. So someone got the bright idea. I apologize if it's anyone who's listening to this podcast is like, hey, that pineapple yogurt? What if we put jalapeno in with the pineapple?
Well, I think I had that one.
Yeah. Did you have it twice?
No, but I had another. I had the blackberry serrano one. I think
Blackberry serrano worked okay.
I kind of missed that one, honestly.
I know, but I thought of that, when I was watching the Oreo.
Enough flavor.
Hey guys, listen up. Like, it's brainstorming. Let's what if we put jalapeno in with the pineapple? It did not work. But okay.
Right.
All right. We'll be back right after this break to play a little game between Derek and I. All right.
Okay.
Be back soon. All right. Welcome back to the last IT podcast in the world. Hey, Derek, I should have mentioned that video with the CEO of Oreos. That's courtesy of dropout.tv. You can find them on YouTube at dropout or dropout.tv on the web. They've got their own like series and comedy stuff going on. So give them a shout and a look there. So, hey, Derek, I saw a news item just actually yesterday that made me want to play the game with you. Hey, I'll ruin your company for only $1 million. If you want to play with me, like we can like we'll see like who will ruin their company for the lowest. See who's the lowest bidder. So here's this story. It's this company called Sonos. Sonos is a next generation speaker and audio company. You probably see them at Costco or Sam's with the sound bars. They go behind TV. They've got these really cool speakers. They work with Wi-Fi. They've got an app. This is key. They've got an app that lets you like turn things on and off and tune the room and do all kinds of cool stuff. And I've owned Sonos since before Sonos was cool. I'm like way back and I love them. But their CEO just resigned kind of in shame from the company and from the board. And it all goes back to a new version of the app on people's phone that they released in, I think, April or May. And long story short, it just broke lots of things with their existing customer base. Classic, right? Hey, we're going to roll out all these new features and you're going to love it. And you're like, oh man, wait till you see what we roll out. And it just broke. People couldn't connect to their speakers. They couldn't listen to music. I don't know what all the symptoms were, but it was so massive that it caused his resignation. Just so from April or May till, November, no damage control in the world. That's how bad it was.
Wow.
And here's the punchline. First of all, we can talk about like, what is your testing setup? Where like, do you have like labs where you've got all the old equipment? Do you have like an early adopter program where you can get feedback back? I'd love like really quickly before we go into the I'll ruin your company for less than Derek. Um, like, how does an app get into the wild and do so poorly? Do you
Yeah.
know?
I mean, it's crazy. Like the amount of testing, and like app stores aren't easy to deploy to. Like you have to, especially for Apple, you've got to go through some hoops with them. So, um, yeah, it'd be an interesting case study to see what went wrong there and what testing practices weren't adopted. Like you said, hardware testing, was it because it didn't work on old devices, or what wasn't thought of there?
Yeah. They own most of the supply chain, I should add. It's their speakers. It's not like our app works with other people's stuff. It's their
Yeah,
app, their speakers. Now, the wild card is probably phones, phone OS editions. I'm sure that's hard. But if you're in the app business, that's just waking up in the morning, right? Like
yeah. And to fail that
browsers.
catastrophically, it seems like more than just a phone OS issue, right? Like,
Yeah.
oh, we have version 1.7. That's seems
Yeah.
like a bigger.
Let me give you another tidbit on what went wrong there. I don't want to spend too long on it because I want to play the game with you about. But they were also working on like their first release of some cool headphone product. They haven't done headphones, I don't think, if I've got this right. And I just hear in that like distraction, like you split your engineering teams into headphone and you
Mm,
deleted your best engineers from app, or I don't know. I don't
yeah,
know. Hey, at Sonos, hey, at Sonos, if you want to come on the pod and explain whether you were distracted by the headphones or not, or you were fully staffed, I don't know. But you sort of, been around a company a long time. They're like, we're going to do two cool things all at once. And you think,
mm,
maybe that was part of it. I don't know.
yeah. Don't lose sight of the really cool thing you're currently doing.
Yeah. All right, so let's talk about the game. So their stock, Sonos stock, is down 11% this year. It's down 67% from its high in 2020. So
Oof.
they're on the glide slope downward. So this is the result. The CEO this year, the stock isn't doing great. They had to lay off 6% of their staff.
Oof.
So guess, like when Reddit or something lights up, or Twitter with, hey, this app is terrible, guess what? The people buying new products that were thinking about it are like, gosh, I don't know.
Yep.
Anyway, layoffs of real humans with real jobs and real families and real concerns, probably related to this. Stock down pretty bad. They're cutting their revenue expectations for 2020. I'm running out of bad things to say.
Right.
The CEO walks away with 1.9 million in cash.
Man,
Yeah.
what a way to fail.
So Derek, I've got another anecdote. I think I could have walked away from Sonos and done roughly as much damage, maybe not more, maybe not
Hmm.
less. I think I would have walked away and taken $1 million in the
Yeah,
severance package. Would you go
I
lower than $1 million?
I do it for 3/4 of a million.
Yeah.
Yeah.
All right. So we'll see who go low. Like, I'll do it for 700K. I'll ruin your company and walk away for a cool 700K. You want to go lower?
I'd go to. I'd do 600.
Okay. I'm going to let you have it at 600.
Okay.
I think
There's
that's admirable.
reputational damage that starts happening that, you know,
Yeah, and you're going to have to live for a couple years, and pay
yeah,
the villa bill, for the bills for
yeah,
the villa and the
right.
pool boy. So, all right, I'll let you have it for
You might need to
600K.
relocate. Yeah.
Let me let's. So this is my late stage capitalism rant. That like, no matter how bad you fail, you'll walk away with millions. Terrific. Get this: the guy there's going to be an interim CEO replacing him. He comes off the board of Sonos. That doesn't his name doesn't matter. But hey, at board member, uh, pretty sweet deal you got here. So his deal to run the company, Sonos, on an interim basis is 175K a month.
Okay.
Yep. And he gets 2.5 million in stock options. So, Derek, what would you pick up the pieces of the broken company for? And remember, the pay is so large, we've had to break it down into monthly
Yes.
buckets.
And by the way, your stock is at a all-time low. So
Yeah.
if you just don't screw up for a little while, there's
So
some.
let's say we just kind of like we do reorgs for a year. Wink,
Mhm.
wink, nudge, nudge. You with me?
Right.
We get in there. I'd do that for 100K a month and $1 million in
$1
stock
million.
options. Exactly. You must pinky to lip.
Yeah, I would do a month. It's just mind blowing. Yeah, I would almost do that for less because you wouldn't feel as bad. Like I think,
Hey, we got to move on, and I don't want to haggle with you. You're my friend. How about this?
I
How
took the
about
other one. You take this one.
you were in the company for $700K.
Okay.
I'll
You'll fix it
try to rebuild it for 12 months. Wink, wink. For
right.
$100K a month, we'll split the stock options,
I'll let
which
the
are going.
stock
By the way, let's
regress
face
to
it.
the
When I'm done
mean.
with the company, they're going to be worthless.
Right.
Okay, good to know. Oh, I forgot to tell you, the guy who for 175K, he formerly led Quibi. Do you remember Quibi?
Oh, it sounds familiar.
Quibi was an app that was going to make series
Oh, yes.
shows,
Yeah, the
and
short.
every episode was going to be 10 minutes max.
Mm-hmm.
And the target use case was like millennials and Gen Z, while they're waiting in Starbucks, can consume an entire episode. It had a functional life of about 6 months. So this is the guy coming in to save. Yeah. So anyway,
Yeah, let's
great
make a
job,
whole
everybody.
video platform based on the time limit of the shows.
Right. Okay. All right. Let's move on to the big idea coming up next after the break. Big idea. We're going to talk about something scary and ominous, shadow IT. We'll see you back here in a minute.
Time for the segment called The Big Idea. The Big Idea. The Big Idea. Serious topic, but we'll still have fun. We'll still have fun with The Big Idea.
Better IT, hands in the air cause we like IT, that's great. I'm not a famous rapper, but I can help you with technology. I can show you how to pick software.
Hey everybody, and welcome back to the last IT podcast in the world and The Big Idea, where Derek and I are talking about shadow IT. If you don't know what shadow IT is, I'll define it for you. That's where other departments in the company decide that IT is optional. IT is sort of a suggestion.
Yeah.
Also, they decide, hey, how hard could it be
I can just do this.
to go pick software and roll it out to my whole department / the whole company and pay for it and integrate it and
Just put it on
customize it, put it on my card. So in all seriousness, it is when individuals or entire departments or business leaders decide they need some software or even a service, some kind of IT-like service development or whatever, and they essentially don't talk to IT first. They just start doing it. And it was the bane of my corporate existence. And so if when I'm talking during this podcast, a little bit of stuff,
A little bit of
comes up,
passion there.
it comes up in the back of my throat, you'll know why.
Yeah. We were talking about Silo and their sort of militant, radicalized IT department, and I wonder if Shadow IT is what started that. Like there's a Silo prequel with how they got radicalized.
Yeah, that was one of my favorite things. If maybe the thing that in Shadow IT is if IT had an armed brigade,
Right.
just wander around and say like, "Hey, what's that on your screen? I don't recognize that as an approved IT asset." I mean, first of all, it is a hugely serious problem, both at a company level, at a IT strategy level, and also at a personal level. I'm going to talk about that at some point in a minute, but and I'm gonna. It's easier for me if I just give examples, and these are, even if they're masked slightly, not all the details are exactly perfectly correct, but they are based on a true story, as it were. So there's a lot of different forms of shadow IT, and again, that's when a department just says, you know what, we went and talked to a vendor, and they've got this cool software, and we're doing it now. And oh, by the way, we need a little bit of help at the very, very end doing something. So let me back up. Experienced IT leaders and departments have a unique set of skills that you can't find anywhere else in the company, just like the marketing department does, just like the accounting department does, just like the legal accounting department does. They have skills and abilities and know the questions asked that I don't.
Right.
And the same with IT. And so, second of all, if you meet with a vendor on your own without your IT buddy, that vendor is going to be able to tell you things you want to hear as a functional business leader that your IT friend could say, like, tell me more about that. Like, how does that work? How does it integrate? That might help you find that the solution that you decided you couldn't live with is maybe not the best solution, or will, instead of being a 6-week project, might be a 6-month project or whatever. But I think a lot of this springs from the fact that, first of all, the consumerization of technology. Like when you want an app on your phone, you get it.
Yeah.
When you want
I
to log
think
onto a new, yeah, go ahead.
on the software side, I mean, you think about that software as a service, your goal, maybe not explicitly, but is to make signing up for your service that easy that there is, you don't need IT coordination, but you should have it, right? Like,
Yeah.
I want this to be so easy that here's a good ad, you clicked on it, we sign you up.
Yeah. Yeah. We'll talk about what those risks, I'll give some examples and we'll talk at the end about like what this leads to, why it's bad, those
Yeah.
kinds of things. So one of the most common one is just the late as possible IT involvement. Like whatever you do, don't tell IT. So this means departments are meeting with vendors that are pitching technologies, no IT representative there. This may go on for weeks and weeks and weeks. And IT is kept in the dark / the department is working in the shadows, i.e. shadow IT. And then they decide without any IT engagement that it's what their department needs. And then they realize they need access to something. And dang it, we're going to have to loop IT in here. Why didn't we know this? First of all, before you mentioned this, vendors encourage shadow IT. They think our
Yeah.
solution is so easy, you don't even need IT to do it. And that's just not true. That's just not true.
Right.
For security, administration, integration, compatibility, all those kinds of things, it's just not true. So as late as possible. And so sometimes in my corporate career, like literally, I'd be like, "Hey, we're going live with a thing in 2 weeks," and I'm like, "This is the first I've ever heard of this thing." And also, then guess what? You get to be the bad guy. Oh, tell me more.
Yeah.
Oh, we need to integrate it with our ERP system. Okay. And well, we would need to test that. We would need to like what kind of connector is it? Oh, there's not a built-in connector. We have to write some code. Oh, well, we've got to write some code.
They said it just hooks up real easy though. It's fine.
Yeah. The number one lie, I'll stand by this, of every software or technology vendor is we integrate with everything. Okay, but how? Like you have
Which
a
is
built-in
technically
connector?
true for most things because you throw dollars and developers and tools at it and don't care about quality. You can integrate with anything.
Here's also a technically true statement, Derek. Your house could integrate with your neighbor's house.
True.
Yeah. You could like,
are there legal obstacles? Yes. Are there
does
construction
your neighbor
obstacles?
care if your add-on connects to his house? Maybe.
Yeah, maybe. Is it a good idea?
Anything's, I always say, you know what's possible? I could decide I want my furniture on the ceiling and not on the floor. Is it possible? It certainly is.
Yeah.
Would we want to live in the house?
Is it
We would certainly
advisable?
not.
No.
Yeah. So as late as possible. And sometimes, contracts have been signed and then you're the bad guy. Like you're like oh yeah, I don't approve this spin because it's not going to integrate with our platform. Let me tell you a really, really quick story. I'll get to that one in a minute, but, pretty recent example on that one where, there were meetings going on for 2 months on a solution, and this was right before the holidays. They needed to go live by January 1st. And that was the first I ever heard of it. I was like, hey, here's some questions I have. And they're like, oh, we hadn't thought about that. Yeah, I guess we'll have to deal with that. And like, I'm the voice of woe all of a sudden for asking the questions I could have asked 2 months ago. We could have made a plan. I could have weighed in on whether it's compatible or not. Yes or no, blah, blah, blah. We don't want to involve IT, but if we have to, make it as late as possible. So right here, your IT involvement, and there should be policies about shadow IT that say you must engage IT before you make contact with a vendor. It's okay to brainstorm or see an ad or hear about something from someone, but you come to IT. Maybe IT already has a solution in their portfolio that does that, or maybe they know of another project that's kind of adjacent and say, "Hey, we should get these things together," and sort of, but early, not late.
Yep.
Here's one. Your solution was a little bit harder than mine, and so I used mine.
Yeah.
Document sharing is a classic one.
Mm-hmm.
Like, I just decided to use my personal Google Drive to share out all of our company logos, graphics, artwork, packaging, specs, including, by the way, our new products, which enter our pipeline and aren't known to the rest of the world, i.e.,
Oh,
our
no.
competitors would love to know that. And guess what, Derek? The link is open to everyone on the planet. No password.
Oh, my.
All because they didn't want a 5-minute tutorial on sharing files with OneDrive,
Yeah.
which is easy. Just for the record, yeah, but I like Google. Okay,
Yeah.
but you don't get to pick your flavor at our
That's
company.
nice.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Boy, do I have great news for you. In about 45% of your life or 55% of your life, which is at home and on the weekend or your personal account, you can use Google to share all you want. Like, that's
Yeah.
terrific.
But
But you can't share out corporate sensitive information with no
right.
password for all the world to see just because, I thought OneDrive was a little bit, clunky compared to Google. And it isn't. By the way, maybe 6, 7 years ago, Google OneDrive was tricky.
OneDrive's
It's not.
great. Yeah.
And
And
even
vice
if it is a
versa.
little
If
bit
you're a
different.
Google shop, you need to use Google because that's what we're doing. It's
Yeah.
you.
But if you're using Google, use your corporate Google account,
Right.
which has some protections wrapped around it. Don't
Protections
use
and
your at Gmail account, right?
right.
Yeah. So yeah, terrific, everybody. Here's a great one. It's because I'm so nice that I didn't want to bother you.
Mm.
So here's the true story. Someone decided to engage an outside consulting firm to write some advanced analytics using highly sensitive corporate data, which they sent to the external consulting firm via Dropbox, no encryption.
Oh dear.
Had the external company develop stuff, make a database, kind of a data warehouse, analytics dashboards, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. Here's the problem. It's got to get back into my infrastructure at some point. It's got to be hosted in my database and it's got to be running on my analytics platform. So all of this was extremely naive and hopeful.
Yeah.
And all of the charges for the consulting firm and all the things they were doing were being charged on their expense report. So you're a manager. Hey, yeah, exactly. I
Yeah.
was like barking
Woof,
at
like
them.
woof, woof,
I was
woof.
like,
Yes.
bark, 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 kitty, bark. Anyway, so thousands of you're a manager. You're their manager. This is not an IT. You get an expense report, travel, hotel, thousands of dollars of consulting, and you approve the expense report.
Oh man.
Have a problem.
Huge
Have a
problem.
problem with that. So it came to my attention. I can't remember how, but essentially I tripped over it and said, "Hey, what's going on here?" And got on a call and was kind of in trouble. I was in trouble because, well, you guys are always so busy that I couldn't ask you. I couldn't bother you to ask you. And if you think about it, it's because I'm such a terrific person that I, tried to help you out by doing this. I was like, so I did this. I said, this might have get me in trouble. I said, don't convert being subversive into a virtue.
Right.
You were hiding. You didn't want us to find out. We accidentally found out. And now you're turning it into a virtue.
Turn to virtue. Yeah.
Yeah. And they just, also this person had a spouse that was in IT, was also filling their ear with the way things were going to be done, which they weren't correct. Sorry to say, they just were wrong. And so, hey, yeah, your thing might take us 3 months to get to. That's still better than everything I just described. By the way, all those dollars were lost.
Oof.
They never, because
Couldn't go
what they did
forward.
was not compatible with our stuff. We couldn't bring it in anyway. They had made a square peg. We were a round hole. Just wasted money.
Yeah.
And then the person was frustrated because they kind of had to start the clock over on us learning what they needed and moving forward.
Yeah.
Just ridiculous. But before I go on, this would be a good point to insert a key point. Your company has to have you as an IT leader, you need to go to your leadership team and say, we need a shadow IT policy. And here's what I need it from it. I've got to have this.
Mm-hmm.
You involve IT early. You don't make vendor contact without IT. You talk to IT about the roadmap and where things fit in. You do not sign any contracts. You do not make any commitments. You do not swipe your credit card for some easy SaaS cloud thing until you talk to IT. And it has to say, there will be repercussions on your annual performance if you violate these policies, because
Yeah.
that person that did all that stuff in this, pretending, they just wanted control. It was a control thing.
Yeah.
They had an idea. They wanted to move it forward. They didn't want to work with a team or collaborate with people. That person should have had I don't mean firing, but they should have had something written in their file or on their annual review that impacted maybe part of their bonus, in my opinion.
Yeah. Well, I mean, you think of all the, I've done a lot of the compliance training, the gift policies, if you're in healthcare industry, HIPAA policies, all the training that a lot of HR departments will send people through, or just to ingrain certain very important things. You don't ever do this, even though it's very unlikely in my position I'm going to be needing to bribe a foreign official for what I do. I get that training, right? So
Right.
it seems like that would be a thing that, we're IT professionals. You need to train corporate wide what shadow IT is. I think people don't think that it's a thing. It should be obvious. It should be more apparent. And I think you've got examples of that, but I think you do need to kind of drill that into people that you're not doing anyone a favor here. This is not some benign, oh, this was just easy.
Yeah. Thank you. Hey, everybody. When Derek and I were recording this yesterday, I forgot to say something very important about this story that I'm talking about right now. And it applies to several of the other scenarios as well. But in this scenario where the person had engaged essentially a programming and development analytics company and then shipped them a ton of sensitive corporate data, like gigabytes of really some of the most sensitive corporate data for them to work with. Not only were they using, just moving data around, which was bad, but here's something important I forgot to mention. They had absolutely no legal contracts in place with this vendor. The vendor hadn't signed anything. They hadn't done anything. And this is another thing that IT leaders think about. Like, okay, if we're going to engage with the vendor on a technology project or services or consulting or anything, we ought to have some of the right legal framework paperwork in place to protect us and to protect them. The most basic of which is an NDA, a non-disclosure agreement. This wouldn't have been enough, but it should have been the minimum that was started with. Hey, we're going to give you our data. You're going to have access to our data. You cannot use that for anything else. You can't share it with anyone else. You can't chat about it over dinner. Also, when we're done with the project, we may say to you, please destroy all of our data, and you'll have to destroy all the data and certify to us that you did. That's essentially the basic framework of an NDA, a non-disclosure agreement. That wasn't in place. But there should have been other things in place, a master consulting or a master services agreement that our legal team had gotten to review that sort of protects both parties in case something goes wrong or there's lack of performance or those kinds of things. And there are other agreements as well. The point is that legal agreements, although they sound administrative and bureaucratic, are there for a reason, and they're to protect your company in case, of this rogue sort of shadow IT stuff goes off the rails. Now, here's the final point, and then we'll get back to giving other examples. I had talked to our legal department at the time and had sort of established a policy with them. If you ever get a contract that's for technology consulting, development, anything that's at all remotely related to IT or technology, stop the process, make sure that I'm in the loop, and then we'll talk about it. I can find out about it. So this is my sort of backstop measure. It's like the last possible thing. I still should have engaged sooner than that on almost all these examples, but that would have been terrific if they had even thought about that I can't go work with an external vendor and share all of our data with no protections in place. Just a huge risk. So many things wrong with this story. And I just wanted to make sure I touched on that sort of the legal and the process of how we engage with any external vendor, whether they're supplying you products or materials or raw materials or finished goods or services, IT software, and so on. So back to the examples. Just want to jump in and clarify that because it's a really important point. I wanted to make it and insert it here. Thanks, everybody. Back to the regular episode. I've got a couple other quick examples, but then we're going to put the shoe on the other foot to sort of like see what it feels like. We're going to have other departments wear the same shoe, if that makes sense.
Yeah.
So really quickly, there's the use case or the excuse called heck of a rush. Oh man, we had to pick something and choose it like in fast, or else something bad would have happened. And so we did. This happened recently. Oh, congratulations! You picked the one thing which will not integrate with our ERP. So, terrific. I could have spent an hour asking questions, and we could have picked another thing that would have been just as fast. Probably, So, and you know what they say, Derek? Like, heck of a rush decisions are always the best ones.
Oh yeah.
I mean, if you're overthinking a decision, just like hurry,
Just
rush those decisions.
flip a coin and go.
Yeah,
Yeah.
just walk onto the parking lot and put a blindfold on until you bump into a car. That's your car. Yeah, good. Okay. Finally, the final one example, and these like the Trojan horse. There's a little bit of engagement with IT. We just need this simple. It's just so. It's like we just need this thing. It's like we just need it for this one thing. We just want it for this one thing. Classically, these are FP&A tools, financial planning analysis. We just want a better tool to analyze our general ledger data and slice it and dice it and do all the reports we need for, the executive team and the board and all that stuff. Terrific. The Trojan horse is they don't want just general ledger data. They want like data from your website. They want data out of the back of your end of your plant. They want data out of sales and shipments. And essentially, you're building a shadow data warehouse that duplicates everything in your data warehouse. So on that one, what I wished I'd done was say like, terrific. This is a good tool. The scope seems right to me. Can you live with that scope for 2 years?
Mm-hmm.
And if they said, well, there's maybe a thing or two,
There might be one
like,
more.
hey, when you say, yep, if I could just have this tool and this much data, our life would be good for 2 years and then we can talk. I'd be like, okay, let's go.
Yeah.
But I always knew that I was going to blow up scope and I'm going to ask for something little because you're going to approve something little, but then I'm going to like immediately turn the 3-month project into an 18-month project by continually growing it. Not okay. Not cool, everybody.
Yep.
All right. So let's do this. Let's put the shoe on the other foot. If there's shadow IT, what if another department had to deal with this shadow kind of stuff? How would they feel? How would leadership feel? How would anyone respond to that? Because frankly, most leaders don't care about shadow IT. They're like, what's the big deal?
Right.
I mentioned this, like you're doubling your spending in certain areas. You've got 2 tools that do the same thing, wasteful. You're not integrating. So people are keying in things into 2 or 3 systems because you didn't think about integration. You have data loss issues, data loss protection issues, like things leaking out. And really quickly before I go on, well, I'll say that at the end. IT should administer everything, and it should all be in the IT budget. There should be complete visibility, both admin and budget. If there's not visible, it's shadow IT. So, okay. So what would shadow HR look like? If there was shadow HR, where like I, as an IT leader, decide to do kind of, some stuff on my own, HR-ish. I've got some ideas. Anything spring to mind?
I think hiring. Let's throw an ad in the paper. Start putting an ad on Indeed. You hire a new staff member. Don't get approval for the position.
Don't apply for a position. Don't tell HR you need a position.
Just throw an ad on Indeed. It's pretty easy.
Straight to Indeed.
Yep.
Put a job in there. Put the company logo. Done. Right.
Yeah. Easy.
Interview the person 2 or 3 times. Let HR as late as possible.
Hey, Joe's starting today or tomorrow. If you guys can just have the stuff ready.
Made an offer.
Yeah.
I think it'd be, yeah, I'm sure there'd be no negative repercussions. Yeah. Oh, good for you. Good initiative.
Yeah. Thanks for saving me all the time of doing all the.
Yeah. Because what could go wrong?
Yeah.
What could go wrong with that process for sure? Now, how about this for shadow HR? Hey, thanks for making the health plan changes this year, but you carved my doctor out of the network for the plan that we have. So I bought my own insurance plan. It covers my doctor. Hooray for me. And I'm expensing it. Oh, well, we're already paying for you in our health plan. Totally get it. Yeah. But
this works better.
Yeah, this solution works better for me. So I'm just going to charge my health plan on my expense. And by the way, my manager approved it for the last 6 months. So,
yeah,
statute of limitations is up.
Why is it a problem now?
I'm sure my HR friends would be like, this totally makes sense. Like, I am not offended. You haven't stepped on my toes. How about shadow marketing?
Ooh.
Let's do some shadow marketing.
Yeah. Build your own logo.
Yeah. I hate the colors of our current
logo. Buy your own
ads. Yeah. How about we go register? We noticed that our company name .com never registered the company name .biz. So I registered that domain under my own account. You're welcome. And guess what? My high school son is really good at website development.
Oh yeah.
And so he built us a company name .biz website because now,
He
oh,
didn't
by the
charge
way,
very much. Super cheap. It saved you a lot of money.
super cheap. It's HTTPS. It's not S encrypted, but that's, we don't have a certificate. And we did the logo change because we like ours better. I think you'll agree. Like it's kind of modern, flashy. Yours is old and staid. And, and we just put some stuff up there. We put some claims, some product claims. Like we don't think you're being bold enough on your product claims.
Sure.
So
started on social media for it. Started posting on there.
Terrific. Yeah.
Yeah.
Good. Yeah. I don't think there'd be any implications from, by the way, hey, everybody that's listening and you think we're being ridiculous right now. Like everything I'm saying is a direct parallel to something I have experienced as an IT leader. Like it is literally a direct parallel. Like, I went and did all this stuff. I bought my own thing and expensed. I didn't check with you first. I came up with one today that I hadn't figured out. Well, this will be our last one. But you could do shadow accounting. You could do shadow legal. Imagine shadow legal, right? How about shadow ops or shadow ops procurement? Hey, we're a food company, and I know we use spinach in some of our products. My cousin, who lives near me, runs a spinach farm. So I signed a contract with him, and the pallets will start arriving of his spinach on Monday. You're welcome.
Right.
Because how hard could it be to source food items that you then sell to consumers in stores? How hard could it be, Derek?
Yeah. Can't be that big a deal.
Salmonella, blah, blah, blah. Yeah. I mean, vendor qualifications. Okay, let's fill out a bunch of forms, you bureaucrats.
You're running low on some stuff. I'll grab some from Costco, bring it in.
Oh, yeah. I got a big bag of salt from Costco, and I put it in the salt bin because I was on special.
Yeah.
And I just poured it into the regular salt bin because I know we use a lot of salt in our products. So does anyone hear how ridiculous these are? Why, oh, why is it okay in this world for there to be shadow IT? Why? If you can do shadow IT, I can do shadow your thing, right?
Yep.
I mean, because we don't have boundaries. We don't respect each other's professional credentials. We don't respect each other's knowledge that we don't have. We don't understand our gaps. We don't want to simplify the complex world you live in because I know there's a lot you deal with, regulatory and Lord knows what, right? Why does it get to go the other way, Derek? Therapy? Can you therapy me?
Man, I don't know. And I think it's not a surprise that a junior, new to the corporate world person wouldn't understand some of those things.
Sure.
Fresh out of college, lower level position, just a go-getter is going to, I mean, even some of those ridiculous examples probably have been proposed, but it's senior leaders and C-level especially that should be aware of what a problem that is. And I think they are when it's not IT.
Yeah. Yeah. Thank you. It should be. So let me go back through it. I insist if you're a C-level leader and let's say hypothetically someone wanted to pull me out of my consulting gig, say for $1 million to destroy a company. I feel like, I'm going to say like, hey, on day one, we're going to write either have a shadow IT policy or we're going to write one and we're going to enforce it. You're going to help me enforce it. And that means even if you have to call down your CFO, your CMO, your VP of ops, your whatever of accounting and say, hey, I'm sorry, you violated our policy. And so, bad on you. That's the minimum I expect.
Right.
And honestly, there at times, if you repeat it, you should lose some financial incentives. It should be that serious because you're introducing risk, inefficiency, cost, duplication of effort, all the things I mentioned. But here's what I want people to listen to. We'll wrap up here, and I'll take your final thought. We'll see what we learned. And this has been an intense. You can tell this is an intense topic for me. And here's why. Here's why it is. This is a topic of respect. The issue is respect. Do we respect each other and what our skills are and what our blind spots are, or do we not?
Right.
Do we collaborate with each other and work together toward solutions? Are we able to be patient if we have to wait 6 months for our solution, but we wanted it right now?
Mm-hmm.
because I want to do it right and not fast. But why IT specifically has this shadow functionality, and vendors do it. Vendors are causing it,
Mm-hmm.
and people's desires are wanting, I want this fast. The fact that it's so disrespectful, that it doesn't understand that IT has, you don't have to understand what IT knows. You have to understand that IT knows things you couldn't possibly, just as I can't understand things possibly that you do.
Mm-hmm.
And that's what makes us great, is when we leverage each other's deep skills and deep experience.
Yep.
And the final thing I'll say, and then if we can sort of make it light again. Hey, everybody, this is why your senior IT leader right now is thinking about retiring.
Mm.
I can assure you, because it gets exhausting for you to have to be the bad guy gatekeeper to say, oh, what did you do? And you shouldn't have to do that. That is, the IT leader shouldn't have to do that. Your C-level leadership and adjacent policies should be doing that to protect you on your behalf, because they value you.
Yep. They value, they have a realistic view of what IT is.
Yeah. Oh, man.
Feel better?
No. This was I shouldn't have dug up all this trauma all at once. Yeah. All right. So let's wrap up with what you learned. Any fair game, anything.
No, I think the shadow, nothing specific, but yeah, the shadow IT impact on an IT leader is, it's big and it's frustrating. I think that I haven't been in the position you were at with some of those, but yeah, it's preposterous what happens in that world, what gets proposed, and how it's just sort of linked at.
Yeah. You know what I learned, which is a retroactive lesson for me earlier in my career, is I did not advocate strongly enough to my leadership team of the importance of written shadow IT policy. We had some sort of vague word of mouth things, but not strong enough and not clear enough that we could have led everyone through. That's bad on me. I should have gone and insisted on that and had it be made my case so that leaders understood why those things are. And then I don't want to punish people, but when you break the rules at a company, you should pay some reasonable, fits the crime price.
Right.
That's all.
The goal is not punishment. The goal is compliance, right?
The goal is being better by
behavior and not being treated like Toby Flenderson in the office. Like,
right.
he's just here with his rules. Yeah.
Yeah. So we'll end on that note. Shadow IT is Michael Scott and the way he talks to Toby Flenderson, and Toby Flenderson is IT.
Yeah.
Who doesn't deserve all that.
He doesn't deserve to be treated that way.
He's a little bit of a dork. I mean, he's a little bit of a dork, but he doesn't deserve half of what Michael Scott dishes out to him.
Just trying to save him from some legal problems there.
Stop it, everyone. Okay. Hey, great episode. Good to connect with you again.
Likewise. That was fun.
All right. All the best. Bye, everybody.